Welcome to the third episode of the Six on Ice podcast. I am Anthony. We've got Anthony here as well. And we are joined by Greg from the Oil Rig podcast. Greg, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm doing great. Happy to make a debut appearance here. Maiden voyage for me, yeah.
Absolutely. Happy to have you on. Oh man, in Leafland, it is not looking great. After Anthony and I recorded our last podcast, we said they had to go on a bit of a streak, talked about how important these games were. And oh man, it's just, we are now back to square one of, is it time to rebuild? Like unreal, just unreal from the team that we had last year. But we're going to dive into it. I mean, Anthony, is there anything you want to say before we hop in and get into it?
I mean, we went on a streak. It's just the opposite direction.
Played at the side of the goal in front of the net. They score! Holy mackerel! Matthews with the hat trick! But Larson, Nylander wins him. William Nylander scores! Game over! Bless you, boys! What a game! Tavares coming out, sends it in a goal. They score! They score! The Leafs have won it! They're going to the second round!
So let's talk about it. Last we left off, let's get into it. Last we left off, the Detroit Red Wings. Okay, that was a very big game for the Maple Leafs. I watched that whole thing because I had the time, and unreal. Just so they out of the gate, they didn't look that great, and then all of a sudden they started to come back and play through, and ultimately, rookie mistake in Easton Cowan, he just gets bodied and dumped on his ass, right? And then all of a sudden, Mo Seider with that big body gets him sends it off to Larkin, and then he scores. And, I mean, it's a tough loss. They ended up getting a point. But, I mean, what did you think of that game? Like, I mean, to lose to the Red Wings 4 times this year, they got their asses handed to them by Detroit. What did you guys think on of that game? Greg, we'll start with you first.
Okay, well, I got definitely a lot of thoughts. I would say that the Red Wings are finally arriving in the Yzer plan. They've been picking high for a long time, and I think people really underestimated them to start the year. That Edvinsson-Seider pairing is ridiculous. Sandin Pellikka's coming of age. Like, they're a quality team. Obviously, getting swept by them, it doesn't have to be that bad, but clearly it is. So, thoughts on that game specifically, not much else than that, other than some kind of bigger picture things about comparing maybe the Leafs rebuild to the Red Wings rebuild, and the successes and lack thereof, and how that affects like what the team building strategy is. The Leafs, it was 3 seasons of high picks and then ready to roll playoffs every year, start selling assets and whatever, the bills coming due or whatever they're saying now, Whereas the Red Wings is so many years of not making the playoffs, so many years of not winning the lottery, just adding these kind of 5 to 10 picks in that range, So it's gonna, maybe the Red Wings will be a lot better off for it, and maybe we're starting to see the signs of that. Whereas the Leafs, burnt out quick, spent it all, blew the budget already.
You could really see that though. In the first period, the Leafs were kind of keeping up, but you can clearly tell the Red Wings were the faster, more hungry, younger team to the veteran Maple Leafs. And then as the game progressed, the Leafs couldn't keep up. And then the overtime period, it was just an absolute disaster. Did they even get puck possession? I don't, maybe it was 30 seconds. Yeah. In all fairness, couldn't keep them in the game, but it's as you said at the beginning, it was a season sweep. They beat them all 4 times. And I think the Red Wings had 7 shots in that overtime period, and the Leafs had 0. It was just a horrible showing. But it's as you highlighted, Greg, Detroit is on the way up, and in terms of their rebuild and next up the process, and the Leafs should be contending for cups year after year, and they're so far off, as this road trip kind of demonstrated that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's just for the Red Wings, I mean, we got to give them credit. The Yzer plan is finally looking to, actually be working. Larkin has developed into a great team captain. He's obviously a big voice in that locker room. So for him to get the OT winner, I mean, that was pretty big. Mo Seider, I mean, he's definitely like a top 10 defenseman in the league right now. He's been on fire. I mean, the way he just like threw Cowan down to the ground and just took him like made him look like a kid in the schoolyard, if I could say that. I mean, he just sped Lark into that and absolutely beautiful goal in overtime. I mean, like I said, I got to give Detroit credit. They look really good. Like you said, Anthony, a younger team looking to play against an old, slower Toronto Maple Leafs team, which to me, that's what their identity is. They're slow. They can't keep the puck out of their net. And listen, I'm going to say this is probably like the worst Leafs team I've seen in the Matthews era. It has to be. They have looked terrible. They have so many terrible stretches all year. I mean, they did go on a little bit of a streak last month, but that doesn't take into account for the easy schedule they had coming into the season. And now looking at them just struggling on a homestand where this year, out of all the years, they've actually been really good at home. So for them to not do well at home this year is something that is very concerning, obviously.
And they're what, 0-4-1 on this homestand? I think Money Puck has them at 5% chance making the playoffs. It's time to sell. And we'll get into that later. But
we will definitely get into that later. Greg, any final thoughts on that game?
On that game, no. I mean, there's a lot to get to. We, yeah, I'm not too worried about that one game, the best game of the homestand. Yeah.
Well, the next game I want to cut to, which we'll move on, is the Marner return, probably the most anticipated game of the year. I did an article on it. Hopefully we'll get that link in the description below. I got it up right a couple hours after the game happened, but Marner's return to Toronto. I mean, absolute a monumental game, especially from the start of the season with all the drama that happened last year, with everything that came out, Marner preventing them from getting Mikko Rantanen. Could you imagine Nyes, Matthews, and Rantanen on the top line? Oh, well, guess we'll never know. But obviously with the heat that Marner got from last year, he comes in on the away side heading into Scotiabank Arena. Big game. A lot of the talk of Matthew saying, I'm sick of hearing all the Marner stuff. You'd expect the team to come out and, guns blazing, looking for a good response against a Vegas team that lost the night before and played. But as soon as the puck dropped, that first period was all Vegas. I mean, absolute domination from a team that will look tired. They look tired, especially playing last night, but they came out and pumped the Leafs shit. So, I mean, what do you guys have to say about that first period? And that's, to me, where it kickstarted everything, going down 2-0 early.
It's even before the game. It's the buildup. With all the injuries to the Leafs team, Tanev, Nylander, Joshua, the tight schedule, the tight standings. We heard out of the Detroit game that Carlo and OEL were hurt and were likely not going to play. And then we found out hours before the game that they are going to play. Anderson's debut after the trade with Calgary. And then, of course, the headliner Marner returning to Scotiabank Arena for the first time in not a Leaf uniform. And it's that emotional buildup. And then you're right, they just crap the bed. Vegas scored 66 seconds into the period, and that wasn't bad enough. They scored like 2 or 3 minutes later. And then, yay, John Tavares scored to make it 2-1. And then 2 minutes after that, Vegas made it 3-1. It was just heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
Greg, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would say like all the stuff about the high anticipation, the back-to-back for Vegas. It's maybe exactly what we would expect from this Leafs team to come out just so flat. Obviously, the playoff game 7s come to mind. But yeah, I mean, that's part of the DNA change that was supposed to be different this year, is that they, most importantly, wouldn't be coming out flat in these huge moments. It's even, again, to the off-ice stuff, like, it's really, like, you can understand where Matthews is coming from, like, or the whole team. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. But I don't know if you can really just hide from it as much as they did. I mean, it's easy to give like a real honest answer about it. You know what I mean? Like, however you feel. I mean, yeah. I mean, what can you do? I don't have much to say beyond that, of just, yeah, outclassed, came out flat, big moment, same as always.
Yeah, and it's just very disappointing to see. Like, in one of the, and always like every single time, a big game, big moment, you know, you got to see your top guy shine. And they didn't. It's another example of it. Maybe these guys just don't have it. I don't know what it is, but it's absolutely embarrassing. They're not young anymore. Matthews is not a rookie anymore. Tavares like didn't just get traded to the Maple Leafs. You know what I'm saying? Nyes is a couple seasons into his career. This cannot be happening anymore. And I understand the team has been injured. I understand. But do you know how many teams in the NHL play injured? No one gives a shit if you're hurt. You still got to come out and play, and you got to face the adversity. And the Toronto Maple Leafs have not been able to do that all year, regardless of who's been out of the lineup. I'm sick and tired of hearing this narrative that they're injured, they're injured, they're injured. I'm over it. I'm over it.
No.
You got to play good hockey regardless, okay? Like in the playoffs, every single team gets injured. Like Matthew Tkachuk played with like a broken, like whatever, something. He broke his arm, broke his leg, something. But he played with it and won a second Stanley Cup. So if you want to talk about injuries, don't talk to me about that because I'm over that.
And I think it's also that they just don't show up for their guys. I could literally hear Mark Stone celebrating whenever he scored on Toronto. It was like celebrating with his teammates. And he said in the post game, the team wanted to win this for Marner. And that's a constant theme. Yeah, I think of John Tavares' return to Long Island. Team did not support JT. The Marner game, our Marner return. It's the same narrative we've always seen with this team. This team does not show up in the big moments. They don't support their team members. And if I'm Nick Waugh, and I'm like, okay, I have value on this Leafs roster. I'm a leader. I'm very good at what I do in the bottom six. Does this instill any confidence that he would want to resign here after how they showed up in in both Vegas games? Really, it's just a disgrace, to be honest. And we've seen this over and over and over again.
I'm getting that same body language from Scott Laughton too, by the way. I think he's gone. I don't think he wants no part of this Leafs team. What do you guys think of that? Do you think he goes as well?
It would be bad. I mean, it would be shades of, well, not necessarily bad. It would be bad for the Leafs to get left holding the bag again. It reminds me of maybe some Ryan O'Reilly, where at times O'Reilly did seem like a really good fit, especially as more of a defensive center to like complement what the Leafs have, take a lot off of Matthews' play, etc., etc. Wow, it's going to be perfect. He's going to sign the Jason Spezza deal and ride it out as a member of the Leafs. And of course, he didn't want to say. Does it say something that maybe some of the character that the Leafs are so often trying to add to their team, every time they do, they don't want to stick around? That is maybe what I think of.
I think if I'm in the bottom six, if I'm a rookie, I'm going to look to the stars on any team, right? They're supposed to be the leaders. I'm looking at Riley. I'm looking at Matthews. I'm looking at Marner when he was here. I'm looking at Nylander, John Tavares, etc. And if that's how they act in these tough moments, where is the incentive? Where is the accountability? It's non-existent. And it's not just one game or two games. It's seemingly every big moment with his team. So if I'm Lawton, yeah, Toronto's nice city to play in, but is this where he's going to want to resign? Don't know. I would be very hesitant if I was Lawton to sign here, unless it was an astronomical amount of money, which MLSE seems to be the MLSE seems to be the Dodgers of the NHL, except without the winning. Like,
Yeah, that's a very fair, accurate representation of MLSE for sure.
And we're going to talk about MLSE and like the culture and all that they kind of built over the last several decades. But it really seems to be the case. They try to buy their way out of problems, and you can't. And when you they try to buy their way out of problems, and they kind of bet on the wrong horses. But we'll get to that a bit later.
But if I'm Mitch Marner, I am laughing my ass off in the dressing room. I'm 2-0 against you guys. This is what you deserve. Kicked your ass twice. I mean, he didn't get a point, but the feeling of, coming into that barn, that very hostile barn, very satisfying for the entire team. And like you said, Anthony, the team showed up for Marner. They knew how important this game was. And that is what brought them the motivation, especially playing a hard game against the Boston Bruins the night before. You come into Toronto and you absolutely pumped their tires and pumped their shit. So, I mean, the crowd, let's talk about the crowd of that game. I did hype it up to be very, very hostile. On the last podcast, I said it was going to be either the same, if not worse, than John Tavares's, first game back in Long Island. And I was very surprised to see Marner received a lot of cheers for his tribute video. I understand he was a part of the team, but I thought it was going to be like John Tavares hostility. What did you guys think of the crowd there?
I think Leaf fans get a lot of flack, to be honest with you. I'm a biased Leaf fan, so I guess I could say that. But when you look at the online discourse around this, you're right. They were going to say, "Oh, Leaf fans are going to throw jerseys on the ice. They're going to throw stuff on the ice. They're going to boo Marner and all this." And they did. They boo Marner during the warmups, during the pregame, and whenever he touched the puck, the boos were the loudest I've heard them in that arena, 10 years, 15 years.
Maybe
I've
the
never
loudest
heard
the arena has been. Maybe the loudest the arena has been over the past season, right?
Yep, 100%. And then Vegas scored one, they scored two, and they kind of showed the tribute video, which is kind of a little bit demoralizing if I'm a Leaf fan. And to Leafs fans' credit, they cheered Marner, and rightfully so. He did some wonderful, magical performances here in the regular season. And to contrast this to Islanders fans, even when Tavares had his tribute video and he saluted Long Island, this rain of boos. So am I saying Leaf fans are maybe more classy than Islander fans? Sure. But I was leaning on your side, that I thought it was going to be a lot more hostile than it was. And yeah.
Greg, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think it has almost more to do with just the personalities of the cities themselves between New York and Toronto. Toronto, I love Toronto. I have a lot of good things to say about it. But it's a bit, I don't know, more reserved and
Corporate?
polite and corporate, and people kind of keeping to themselves than some other cities. And I think I don't know, this summer, maybe we'll get this linked in the description here. I did some a little history project detailing the Leafs of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, one article each, and how and it's just interesting to think a sports team is a public trust, it is a business, but it's also so tied in with the personality and emotions of a city, that doing this little history project about the Leafs kind of tells you a lot about the city itself and how the two things influenced each other and how they grew and things like that. So I don't know, maybe not on the topic of exactly what we're talking about, but I think it was the right thing to do to cheer during the video tribute. That's fine. And it's the right thing to do to boo also every time I touch the puck. Is yeah, I would say a very tame, vanilla, appropriate reaction to his time. And obviously there's a lot of people that are on the cutting edge of, we got to trade this and we got to do that and this person's contract, but a lot of people are just hey man, Marner, awesome player. They don't follow every second of the team, and what he brought to the city during his time here was definitely meaningful, even and especially if we exclude all the minutia of what the team did and what his contract meant and what this comment was, etc., etc.
Yeah, I agree. Very classy. You don't want to obviously boo the guy with his tribute video. He did, play a long time for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He played a lot of seasons. Not a lot of playoff success, but to be the only Leaf since, I don't even know, to hit 100 points is, very impressive. I said last year I thought he was their MVP, but yeah, he was a great player for the team, and like I said, like you said, it was very nice of them to, and the right thing to do was to cheer for his tribute, because why would you boo someone in their tribute? He didn't ruin your franchise. I don't think that's the I don't think that's the move there. But the last part of the game, which we have in our notes here, is the decision to start Anthony Stolarz. Now, it came out before or after the game, sorry, that ultimately he wanted to play in this game. He felt that he was NHL ready without playing a single AHL stint, being out since Remembrance Day. So almost like 3 months he's been out of action. And then you throw him in, I mean, arguably the biggest game of the year. I mean, and then obviously he didn't have the greatest game, gave up a couple bad goals that, you know, shouldn't be given up. What did you guys think when you heard that Stolarz was going to be starting in net? And then how sad were you when the Hilda Beast got sent down to the Marlies?
I wasn't necessarily upset that Hildeby got sent down. He can clear waivers, or doesn't have to pass through waivers, so it makes sense. I'm kind of disappointed that they went with Stolarz after being off for, like you said, November 11th, like 3 whole months without even having any kind of a conditioning stint. And right away, he was rusty, couldn't stop a rebound to save his life. I don't know why Berube decided to start him. Maybe Berube's like, oh, medical staff say he's clear. Okay, play. But at the same point, or to your point, it's the biggest game probably this season for the Leafs. And it was, I think, a bad decision to play Stolarz.
Yeah, I would say like my general thoughts on it is like, yeah, it may be practice time. Like, I'm not a goalie coach. I don't know what constitutes ready and the decision to put him in. I will say though that the hesitancy to roll with Hildeby throughout this entire season, even going back to the Caden Primo days, is a little bit frustrating because he's earned more starts than he's gotten. And I would say, like, to another point, that's maybe this is too early, is that it's like that extension for Stolarz is just that tree living magic where somehow it just seems to go a little bit wrong. Not that Stolarz can't bounce back, and in general, like I've been writing about the Oilers, covering the Oilers for a long time. Maybe for Leafs fans, like the Senators might be a more relevant example. I don't really think that it's productive or constructive to be blaming the goalies specifically too often. You know what I mean? Like how many times has Ottawa traded Philip Gustafson or Talbot or whatever just to see them go do better elsewhere? Like the problem with this Leafs team all season is that the key part of their identity, which is supposed to be their ability to defend with all the emphasis on size and defensemen and getting the right and left shots, is like getting the defensive centers. This whole tree living era has been built around this idea that we're going to be a defense first team. We're going to be a strong defensive team. And that is exactly the opposite of what the Leafs have been. And the key area that they needed their identity the most, and the thing that they put their stake in the ground and said, we're going to be this, they failed. So it's like, how is it going to go well? How is it going to go well? So yeah, maybe curious, maybe we can analyze the decision to start Stolarz or not, but like not the main conversation in my opinion. In my opinion, their goalies, there's a lot to like between all 3 of them, and even 4 if you want to add an Akhtiamov. But the defending is just absolutely horrendous. It's not good enough. And more than anything else, that's number 1 circled on the chart for me. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but Hildeby has the best goalie stats with a .912 save percentage and a 2.9 goals against average. Joseph Woll with a 908 save percentage with 3.01 goals against average. So the goaltending's there. It's just the team has not been protecting said goalies. Hildeby has been giving the Leafs every single game that he's played a chance to win. That Winnipeg game right there, if they lost that game, I mean, that's just on the team. He kept them in it so long. And of course, a lot of the players, when they won that game, ran right over to him because they know without him, they would have lost that game. So I agree with you, Greg. It's the defending that's just not the greatest thing. And the decision to start Stolarz, I mean, yeah, he didn't have a great game, but the team knowing that he's been out since November, I feel like you've got to help him out there. You gotta do something. You gotta help your goalie out. And, obviously he made some bad decisions, but it was off terrible defensive plays as well. So we got to take that into account. But I mean, at the end of the day, maybe they shouldn't have started Stolarz, but the team in front of throughout the whole season, the team has to be better for their goalies.
That's a good point, both you and Greg. And you can kind of see the narrative after the Buffalo game, or after the Avalanche game, second game, and the game last night. Goalies are kind of getting the flack. Yeah, they lost 7-4 to Buffalo. Oh, 7 goals. Goals have to be better. But how many games have we seen this year, last year, this whole Matthews era, where the goalies literally kept them in the game, literally stole games for them? I think that's a good point. I think it's kind of a disservice and a bit of a cop-out to, if a goalie has a bad game or two or a bad moment or two, is that really representative of their whole performance? It's the defense that has to be there, and it just simply hasn't.
I mean, the numbers don't lie, right? I mean, look how good, like I said, look at the numbers I just put out from Woll and Hildeby. They've been great. What can you say about them?
Yeah, I mean, personally, like my stance on it all season is like I would be very comfortable with any of those three starting in my net. Not the issue, in my opinion. And yeah, I think they should, with the rest for Stolars and Woll. I think it's more shocking than them starting Stolars is them just not starting Hildeby as much as I thought he deserved. Yeah,
100%. And then the third game after we recorded that podcast against like the best team in the league, after like just an unreal like scheduling from the NHL, giving them Vegas, and now the
Colorado.
best team in the NHL, like unreal. And then all of a sudden, going into that game is a 1:00 start or 1:30 sometime in the afternoon on a Sunday. I'm very surprised to not see them on a Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada. Very interesting. And then the Avalanche also pumped their tires and kicked the shit out of them. I mean, going up 3-0 basically the whole game after the second period, and then the Leafs just could not fight it out, and they lose. But the biggest and most highlighted spot of the night, or the afternoon, I would say, had to be when the camera pans over to none other than William Nylander in the press box. And he flips the bird and hides behind the wall afterwards, which got a lot of flack from fans on Twitter, from other franchises, and just people internally. And I mean, was it Pareos who does it? That does these fines? Yeah, he fines William Nylander $5,000, which is really gonna hurt his paycheck. But yeah, just unreal stuff. Like, what did you guys think of that? Like, did you see that live?
I didn't see it live. I shut it off after it was 3-0. I'm like, okay, I'm done. And I wish I didn't, but I saw it after the fact. I personally think it's overblown. Heaven forbid that a Maple Leaf shows emotion. Like, come on. He apologized after the fact. He said that he was frustrated. The guy, this is the first time he's been injured for this long in his career. I think it's at 14 or 15 games. And he's frustrated, apologized. Probably everybody's like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. We're moving beyond it. And I think it's only because he wears a Leaf logo that it receives so much attention. If it was Jared McCann in Seattle, would anybody care? Probably not.
It was Sergachev in Utah, and no one cared. So just prior.
Exactly. The fact it's just kind of a minor point, because Nylander's probably not going to feel 5K versus 2,500. But I look at the Andrew Ference when he flipped off the Habs crowd in the 2011 playoffs, I think it was, and he received a $2,500 fine. Why does Nylander get a $5,000 fine? I don't understand the logic, but it's not my job, I guess.
Oh, it's just unbelievable. It's just unreal. When I saw it on Twitter, I started laughing, because I'm just like, really? He did that? No one expected it, but like a year of frustration, and it's like, listen, I'm injured. Just get the hell away from me. Like, stop putting the camera on me. There's nothing I could do. I'm not playing right now. But I mean, we'll get into it now because this is part of it. But like, looking at the culture of MLSC, of the Leafs, like, they're one of the most profitable franchises as well. I mean, them not even coming out and saying anything against the NHL, maybe for even like the league just being on their ass more than other franchises as well. Like, they're not coming out and saying that. Like if Keith Pelly was to come out and say something like, hey, like you're targeting our players, like this would spark really big talks. And it feels to me that that's the case with all these like, you know, ridiculous like fines and punishments that have been given to Leafs players. And like I said, they're like, they don't call out the league's double standard. I mean, what do you guys think of the culture of MLSE with that?
I think they're more concerned with the status quo and just maintaining profit levels. I wrote a recent article about this, so I'll get that in the description. But they've really kind of developed a culture of blunted emotions. They want to control everything. They want to control what the players say, what the players do, and it's really and it's not just, in all fairness, this isn't just a Toronto Maple Leafs problem. The NHL, in my opinion, lacks a lot of personality. When you look at the NBA or the MLB, like the players, like they sell the game, they create new fans. The NHL is really kind of stale. Creativity and interviews is very like stymied. And in Toronto, it's even more magnitude. Like, how many lessons learned conversations have we got from John Tavares over the years? Matthews doesn't seem to be. He's shown more flair recently. I guess that Mark Masters interview before the first Vegas game. Okay, I'd love to see that, but I want to see more of that. I want to see the Leafs be passionate on the ice, off the ice, and we just don't see that because I think MLSE is just more concerned with maintaining profit levels.
It's an interesting way of looking at it. Like I'm not necessarily fully on board with like the Department of Player Safety versus the Leafs conspiracy theories. There's a lot of compelling evidence for sure. I mean, my mind goes to the Jason Spezza knee and, you know, maybe some comparables that didn't get anywhere as close to as long of a suspension. Obviously, like there's the Gregory Campbell angle that lots of people like to bring up when it talks to when it comes to like inconsistent application of of discipline. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's something to it of like a large conglomeration, like or large conglomerate owning an organization versus like one owner who might be a bit more fiery and might have a closer relationship with the commissioner or certain people high up in the organization and might try to like, I don't know. I'm sure like at every workplace, it's kind of like this, like certain people can get away with a bit more than others. There's brownie points, there's trust, there's social capital to some extent. So I would say that the Leafs, despite carrying a huge financial might around the league, don't seem to be kind of like one of the teacher's favorites in terms of getting away with all kinds of things. I mean, yeah, it's more like the spotlight where one thing is going to blow up, like this Nylander thing. It's like there's not really a benefit. It's like it's just more eyes when you do something bad, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's just a culture of risk aversion. And they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to shake the boat. Bennett injured Stallers last playoffs. Not a peep.
Oh my goodness, that was
The
crazy.
inconsistencies with
Honestly,
suspensions. Yeah, exactly. Kadri was suspended and he should have been suspended, rightfully so, but that should have been the
right.
same.
But yeah, the Bennett play is like a worse injury, which is part of the equation than both Kadri plays combined. So riddle me that, Batman. You know.
It's
Like,
insane.
oh,
It's insane. It is like the double standard.
It absolutely is. And you're right, Greg. They don't really throw their might around. And I don't necessarily mean from a financial perspective because they're willing to do that. They're willing to back up the Brinks trucks and look where it's gotten them, 2 first-round playoff wins. It's more so be more like a Vegas. If you bring players in and they don't fit the program, the culture that you're trying to achieve, you're voted off the island. Get out.
Well, for some reason, I'm remembering the Dubas era where like everyone, like Harry Satteri's getting claimed off waivers. Whatever. It's like double the rest of the league combined in waiver claims. Like, whoa, there's got to be something here, right?
I think MLSE is going to have a problem down the line. If you look at the 93 Leafs, and that's a little bit before when I started following the team, but they were 1 win away from the Stanley Cup Finals. 1 win away. And they lost. But those teams had heart, they had passion, they had grit, and they ushered in a new era of Leafs fans. Look at the Matt Sundin era. They brought 2 teams to 2 separate Eastern Conference Finals. They lost by a wide margin. But again, those teams had heart, passion. They captured the hearts of Leafs fans, and they ushered in a new generation of Leafs fans for years to come. What about this era, right? There's like nothing that you can really think of. Maybe John Tavares propelling the Leafs to the second round. That was kind of cool. But then they got their asses handed to them by Florida, handedly. And if they don't start to build this culture or start building this winning culture, I think they're just going to lose a lot of fans. And we're already starting to see attendance dip down as the Matthews era is prolonged. I was looking at some stats a couple days ago on that. So, and the weird thing is they don't have to win. They don't have to win. And it's just a real shame that they just don't want to become, again, as I said earlier, the LA Dodgers of the NHL. I mean, the salary caps was a bit of a bad comparison, but I don't know. I don't know what the solution is.
Well, listen. I mean, considering that, okay, I don't think we would be having this conversation had they not lost by 1 goal, maybe an overtime loss, whatever, 2 goals, at least make it look close. The fact that they're getting their asses handed to them every single game is why we are talking about this team the way we are. If they're like competing with Colorado and they lose to Colorado in a really hard game off, like McKinnon just has like a really nice goal or highlight reel goal or something like that, I don't think we'd be talking like this. But considering the way they've just gotten their asses handed to them each and every game, and I want to talk about last night's game because that was terrible. But just the idea, just the way of them losing is where I'm sitting asking myself, like, listen, if they were playing like decent and like lost like all these games by 1 goal, would we be slandering them this much? I don't think so. It's because the team cannot play with any passion and they cannot, as soon as they're down by a goal, they think the game's over. And that's what it looks like. That's what it's been looking like the past couple games. Just not great. So I really want to talk about the Buffalo game, but any final thoughts on what I said, guys?
No, let's go. We're on to Buffalo. We're on to Cincinnati.
Let's go to Buffalo. I mean, so think about this. After all of that, after all those games, the final game of the homestand comes in, and you're playing the red hot Buffalo Sabres, who in their like last 20 games have won like 16 games. I think it was their 20th game would have been last night. So in 19 games, winning 16 games. That is absolutely absurd for a team like the Buffalo Sabres, which who haven't made playoffs in 14 years and, have been in the basement of the NHL for the past couple seasons, are now sitting 3rd in the Atlantic spot, tied with Boston and Montreal at 65 points, only a couple points behind Detroit, looking like a wagon. And, as big of a game as it is, the Leafs had a couple nights rest. They play a hot Buffalo team, and then once again, they let in 7 goals. 7 goals. Way too many. They scored enough to win, as Berube said, but they can't keep the puck out of their net. And that has been a problem over this past homestand. And it's just not okay at all, especially when you lose to a team like the Buffalo Sabres, who are on the rise. It's a divisional rival matchup. You're the home team. You need to calm their storm, and you couldn't do it. What are your thoughts on that game? Was that the nail in the coffin to send this team into a rebuild?
I think so. It's as you said. It's not the fact that they lose; it's more so how they lose. And when they lose big. It's the same kind of story we've seen all season, all decade, as we've been talking about the last couple of episodes now. They just don't have it. You need to seriously dismantle this roster and retool at this point. And again, last night they was honoring Daryl Sittler's 10-point game. They do this every year. Okay, Matthews and John Tavares were like, yes, there's going to be an emotional twist to this game before they played. Some emotional twist. They just didn't show up. They got the stuff knocked out of them. And that's even after a goal was disallowed in the opening frame.
They were leading the game the first time they led a game in a while as well.
I think I read that they were 2-0. They down 2-0 for the last 6 games in a row, or last 5 games in a row, or something like is bonkers. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. I mean, for me, this kind of like Buffalo, and for so many, this is the jumping off point of, oh, it's time for the rebuild or whatever, retool, time for the selling off, the bloodletting. But I think it dovetails like super nicely into just the power structure as well, with those Berube comments about not defending, about like the like the stated goals of this true living era to the kind of team they want to be and their complete inability to do so. And even more so, like to tie it back to maybe Tavares and leaving the island and stuff, like the Islanders became a better team when Tavares left. And that's not because of anything wrong with him, but a big difference is that that team, with him gone, committed to each other to keeping the puck out of the net. Defense is somewhat based on skill, but so much of it is based on will. And to the fact that this team that was built to have the skill, we have the Brandon Carlo shutdown defenseman, we have the right shot that we don't have to have to Justin Holl trotting out there anymore, or Ron Hainsey playing his weak side. Like so much of this, it's defensively, we have the pieces to be a skilled defensive team. For me, it's a huge indictment of the team that the will is not there. We saw this team be a very strong defensive team last year. We saw the kind of right combination of, like, for years there was this skill emphasis with Dubas, and then all of a sudden it comes time where True Living takes over, and it's just the dash of that defensive prowess and that size and that old school ability that, like, okay, maybe this is the right combination. Like, not that one GM is bad and the other, but rather that the story of this team is kind of becoming more complete. And now it's just gone. It's the will of the team is completely broken, apparently.
I think you're right, Greg. I think it's, as Craig Berube said in his post-game interview, he said, we look at scoring as everything. It's not everything. You're not going to consistently win in this league by focusing on scoring goals. You have to play the full rink. And he later said, you have to go to work and compete. Your confidence will be fine. I mean, I get it. But we're in the NHL. You're getting paid to play hockey. You have to go and do the job. So you're right. They don't have the will to want to play defense, which is mind-boggling. It's just absolutely, like, either it's like conspiracy theory. Are they trying to get Craig Berube fired? We're like, okay, good. You got Savard fired. Let's play good for a couple weeks and let's go back to sucking, and then let's get Craig Berube fired. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And yeah, I don't think Berube's that bad of a coach. Like, I really don't think he's bad of a coach. It's just the guys cannot play under his system. They can't. They cannot play defensive hockey. They're so heavily focused on offense that they cannot play the other side of the puck, which arguably is the more important side, because defense wins championships no matter what sport you play. It is the most important part of your game. And if you're not great defensively, you're not going to win anything. And that's exactly what we're seeing with this Toronto Maple Leafs team. Now, let me ask you both. Can they make playoffs, and should they make playoffs?
I mean, anything is possible, but I don't think they're going to make it. And should they? I really think they should retool at this point. You have a couple years left with Matthews. You have, is it 6 years with Nylander? No, 7 years with Nylander after this one. You still have some time. We have some assets that are at a peak value. I think you have to sell.
You, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, these are difficult questions to answer. Can they? It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. It would be nice almost to see them just lose until the trade deadline so that they get the point. It is, like, tricky though, to talk about, like, retooling and how it might go, because this team does not have its first round pick for the next 2 years unless they win a lottery or something. So, like, the greatest asset that you have as a rebuilding team is your own first. That is where you get the star players. That's where you really change your franchise. The extra first, like the 25th pick you get from Vegas for trading, like, whatever, like, it's helpful, but that's not really what's making the difference between getting you from where you are to where you want to go. So they've cornered themselves into a sense where, like, I'm not sure how, like, what a retool, what I would even want it to look like, because I've I've been on Puck GM a lot over the last 48 hours, let's say, checking out people's ideas for trades, what people think is going to happen, and a lot of people are shipping so and so off for a couple of seconds or whatever it is, and it's like, okay, well, say you nail those picks, like maybe in 4 years when Matthews might not be on the team anymore, these picks are finally going to start to be ready. It's like, it's hard to see how there's an easy way out of this. I think that they should definitely be exploring trading some guys. Like Ekman Larson has some term left on his deal, even though it would be nice to have him here, even though he's playing great. Maybe now's the time to sell high. Carlo, maybe the same thing. Lawton, like they paid so much to get retention on Lawton and Carlo that like it makes them even more valuable now. It's like you kind of, if you're committing to this, like, hey, retool, we'll punt, we'll try to make the playoffs again next year, since again there's no first round pick. Yeah, it's gonna have to be kind of creative. Like, if you're shipping Ekman Larson off, like, would you rather get like a late first in 2026 or 2027 or 2 seconds over that time span, or would you rather, I don't know, try to pry like a 20-year-old that obviously whatever team is trading doesn't love that much? Yeah, I don't know. So there's a lot of ways to do it, and I'm not sure exactly what I would do, but I think it's very delicate. The path to getting better, because the free agent class this year is really thin. Everyone has a lot of money to keep their guys. There's a very, very slim path here to getting better in the next, whatever, 3 years of Matthews' contract. It's gonna be really hard. It's gonna be really hard.
Well, you want to know something crazy? I'll tell you guys this. If the Leafs want to match their 2021-22 season in points, they would need to go 29-0-0. Think about that. They need to basically win every game. They need to go to a 29-game win streak in order to get basically, top of the division or even second in the division. It doesn't look like that's going to happen at all. So for them to, I mean, the past couple seasons, they couldn't get over 110 points. And then for them to even reach what they could have, many seasons ago, they would have to go on a crazy streak. But yeah, I mean, doesn't look like they're going to make playoffs as of right now. The teams in the Atlantic division are really good. Funny enough, I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is right. 5 teams from the Atlantic division are in the top 10 in the NHL, which is absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd.
Yeah,
Just goes to show how hard the division is. But do you see the Maple Leafs? I mean, like, obviously, we're saying rebuild, but could they do something like the Rangers? I mean, the Rangers didn't really say that they're going into a rebuild. They're going into a retool, I think. I mean, I think the Leafs could retool some guys and maybe do a couple player for player trades. That would benefit the team because, I mean, obviously, like McMahon, his contract is looking, kind of nice for some teams to pick up, especially if they're lacking some middle six scoring. OEL, we talked about OEL, like he's a great, spot for player for someone to grab at the deadline. I mean, Riley, you think they trade Riley as well? I mean,
hopefully.
they've got Robo as well, the worst Robo, because obviously J-Rob, our boy J-Rob is absolutely killing it in Dallas. I mean, if he was like a half of his brother, he would be amazing on this team, but he just can't be. So he's definitely somebody that maybe some other teams are looking for to boost their bottom six. And Scott Lawton, maybe trade Lawton away and get that first round pick back into Kuderka Bank and forecheck, backcheck, paycheck, and bring him back to Toronto. Bring some spark into that lineup. What do you guys think a retool looks like, or a rebuild, if you would say? Like, what's the first move that's happening?
Honestly, I think you can make trades to recover picks and then rebuild in the off season. I don't think necessarily you need to trade for draft picks this year and then see them develop 3-4 years down the line. I think you can collect assets and then make your trades in the off season or during next regular season. The question I have for that though is Brad Treliving the person to do it. But for me, absolutely, if there's good value out there for McMahon, OEL, Robertson, even Cowan, I'll throw out there, sure. If you get a good roster player, get a good package for either one of those guys or a combination of the people we discussed, Absolutely. Then you just kind of hope that the Leafs tank to the top 5 so we keep our pick this year. But knowing the Leafs and our awesome luck, we're going to finish 6th last. 6th from,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then Boston's going to get a high draft pick. But I don't think it's a wise move, and I feel this is what Trey Living is going to do, is to trade whatever little assets we have, so say Cowan, Robertson, maybe even a McMahon, for some aging veteran players who are on one-year deals.
Kadri or
And
something.
yeah, I mean, as I said in the last podcast, I would love Kadri back just for the vibes, but I don't think we have any assets that Calgary would really want. But I think that's what he's going to do. He's going to bring in aging vets and try to make a push for the playoffs. And if they get spanked in the first round, oh well, at least we made the playoffs. Collect those, what, 2, 3 home game
It's
revenue. Yeah.
Craig,
no,
anything you want to say about that?
I have a few things for sure. That the thing I want to get off my chest first is I get like the bloodlust to trade some bodies. There are two that like really kind of um give me pause. One of them is Bobby McMahon. I'm just having like Zach Hyman flashbacks where I know like there's data on like the traditional aging curves and when players peak. Maybe you could throw Mason Marchman into this bucket as well. But like when you have a player who's kind of still growing, still coming into his own despite his age, maybe you want to throw Brad Marchand into here too, of like even a higher caliber. But it was like McMahon is still adding to his game. There's so much to like. He's like kind of like the antithesis to like everything that's wrong with the entitlement of the core 4 era or whatever you want to call it, like, so it makes me a bit nervous that people are like, okay, who's gone? McMahon. Like, for some reason, I'm more comfortable moving off of someone like Robertson, who's a bit younger. To me, like McMahon, there's something about him that I wouldn't mind keeping. And like, seeing as you don't, if you're trying to make the playoffs again during Matthews' current contract, I think maybe that's like the framework that you should be. Is that the point of this rebuild, I guess, or retool, whatever you want to call it? It's like we want to be back in the playoffs while Matthews is still under this deal. Like, then I think getting rid of Bobby McMahon is actually like a very, very, very risky decision. And like you might argue that his lack of like name brand profile might actually lower his price to the point where like you might not get as much for him as other people. Like Lawton plays center, like Nick Waugh plays center. Carlo is a right D. I think you're probably going to get more assets for those guys than you are Bobby McMahon. So I don't know, just a curious thought. Stolar's in that maybe. Like there's lots of guys that I would trade. The other one that I wouldn't trade is Matthews.
No,
with an asterisk.
You don't trade your captain. No, you don't trade your
especially like, some people are over the top. Like I'm a Nylander as much as the next guy, but how else are you gonna have an elite center? It's just such a hard asset to come by. You don't have your first. It's impossible. So unless like the time comes where he wants out, then maybe you try to trade him while he's still on his deal. But it can't be now. It can't be now. Yeah.
What about
Other than
fantasy? Fantasy. What if it was Celebrini for Matthews, 1 for 1?
Oh yeah, sure. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay.
But I'm talking just in the realm of possibility. Just that center depth, especially Minton's gone now. Like, we're hoping Luke Hames or I don't know, Quillen. If again, Berube not trusting the young guys, like Quillen can't get any shifts. But yeah, there's just, I don't know. Other than that, though, like Riley for sure. Like explore away. Even Nylander, like I might do it. It's like I think that there's very little that you can be married to on this roster. So it's going to take some creativity for sure. It's going to take some creativity.
Absolutely. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think with the whole Riley having a no move clause, it's not necessarily a death sentence that everybody seems to think it is. I think of Thomas Kaberle during the Burke era. He had a no trade clause, and he didn't want to move. And Burke set him up to go to Boston, and that turned out well for Kaberle. And I think I know gives players a better selection of where they want to go. Bradley obviously up in Toronto. It's a family here, but I think the Leafs, again, trying to build this winning culture that I mentioned earlier, need to make life uncomfortable for him. Get him, make it so that he wants to play somewhere else. I'm sorry, we are done. I am done trying to do players right over putting the team goals on the back burner.
I agree. I mean, I think it's time to, say, fuck your feelings and just let's just do something here. We need to get something done, and it doesn't matter if you're happy. We need to do what's best for your organization. If you can't comply, then you know what? Screw you. It's time for you to go. I mean, this road trip. We said this homestand was going to be the end of the season. I think it's this road trip because before the Olympic break, anything can happen after the Olympics. We see how Buffalo can do in their last 20 games. Maybe the Leafs can do something special too. It all starts with this road trip. You get the noise of Toronto out of your head. You got a decent matchup against the Seattle Kraken Thursday. You got the Vancouver Canucks Saturday Night Hockey Night in Canada. Their time is pushed back for you guys to play 7 p.m. It's even going to be Eastern time. Pacific time it'll be at I think 4. So it's an early game for them. But messing up with the Canucks schedule. But I mean, then you got the Calgary Flames, who are also not the greatest team, and then you got Edmonton the night of. So realistically, should go 3-1. If you ask me, you should go 3-1. You should beat Seattle, no problem. You should beat Vancouver Canucks with ease without Demko being out for the year as well. And you should go into Calgary and beat Calgary, eventually losing to Edmonton, probably second half of a back-to-back, right? I think that's a given. But this road trip for me is what will determine if their season's done. I don't know if it's over yet. I think that's what the Leafs are going to assess is like how we do against these, Western Canadian teams that we're not going to see in the playoffs eventually until the Stanley Cup final. We're going to see how they do against them. And I think from there, if they have a decent road trip, I think that'll determine what they do at the deadline. Because when they come back, their schedule is not that easy either. They got Florida and Tampa, and then they got a Saturday Night Hockey Day Canada matchup with the Ottawa Senators. So for me, it's this road trip right here that's going to determine whether the Leafs do a complete fire sale, whether they retool or whether they buy, if you ask me.
For me, I
That's
think
concerning. I'll go for it, Anthony.
I think so what? You beat 3 bottom feeder teams. What does that prove at the end of the day? You couldn't show up against the bottom feeder teams during the first half of the season. You have a good 2 to 3 weeks, and then you just hang it all on that Colorado overtime win, and you falter against good playoff teams. And what the saving grace is going to be beat some bottom feeder teams. I think the season. I think if they're smart, they would get ahead of the trade deadline madness and start making some trades, or at least maybe they already are. Maybe they're assessing the situation out there. But I think their season is already determined. But see what Greg has to say on this.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just a bit more conviction on I don't want to be swayed by a win here or there. Like I think we had a great chance at that with the Colorado victory in Colorado. It's like, okay, this is a statement. Maybe we could build something off of this. And then to just completely come out flat. Like we gave our rundown of the last week and it was like
Not great.
It's been terrible. It's been terrible, man. I mean, it's so, and since that Colorado win, I don't know, you beat the Jets. That's they're like literally in last place, man. Like what? Yeah. So I don't know. I want a bit more like intention and conviction. A bit more. I'd like them to have a plan more than a day to day. Oh, we'll see. Maybe Berube's we'll get another scar and it will give us good luck. I don't know. Yeah. So it's very concerning. It's very concerning.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're gonna have to see what happens. I mean, if you guys think they should rebuild, I mean, as unfortunate as it is, you're going to waste a couple years of Matthews' career. That's
Right.
that's the only thing. William Nylander as well. Like these guys are shaping up. Maybe I don't past, current, whatever. They're definitely certainly in the vicinity of their prime, and I think rebuilding is like I don't like. Listen, they're
Yeah.
pretty much the same team as last year without Marner. It's just they're not playing up to standard. They're not playing up to
Mm.
standard. Like
It's
coming
like,
into the season, I thought they were going to be first in the division with the team that they built. I thought they were going to be first in the division. I don't think they're playing with any confidence right now. I think they're playing scared and they're not playing great defensively. And I think
yeah.
that's what's ultimately leaving them in the dust and in the bottom of the barrel in the Eastern Conference. So for me, to get some confidence back, you need to have a great road trip. Having said that, if they somehow sweep this road trip, let's say they sweep this road trip, is it back on? Is the parade back on that, you know what, we got to ride this out. We got the Olympic break. We could calm the storm a little bit. We just got 4 wins. We got 8 points. Are they back? That's up to
Yeah.
I mean, I think I hear you guys completely on you saying the season's done, but I mean, listen, if they somehow do well in this road trip and they by a miracle sweep this road trip, I think their season could potentially be back.
back on life support. Well, it's an interesting the way you phrased it makes it sound like more of a coaching thing. And like to a point I can agree with you that like there was a lot to like about this roster heading into the season. Less of a GM thing. But I think it doesn't necessarily have to be like a full like down to the studs retool or rebuild, but more like a retool. And for once in the Matthews era, can we just think about like, I don't know, maybe not putting all our chips in, not trading every pick we have for like this year for whatever it is, like a month of Thomas Plekanec or like, I don't know, like 3 years worth of draft picks for like a run with O'Reilly. It's like, yeah, I think you could rejig, get a bit younger, change up the vibe, change up the look, but yeah, it's hard. Is the coach going to do that? Is enough personnel change going to do that? There's clearly some, like you were saying, a lack of confidence right now.
Have you ever, this is kind of random, but have you ever seen the Mighty Ducks movies growing up?
Of course. Mhm.
Okay.
All three, yeah.
It's the third movie, D3, and Coach
Yeah.
O'Ryan is I guess the tough as nails coach, and he's just like, what do all good teams have in common? And then one of the players is like, great coaching, and he's like, don't try to suck up to me. I just feel that scene embodies the Leafs as it's perfect. I can totally see John Tavares or Nylander or Matthews just saying the canned response, but it's defense, as you said, it's defense. Unlike scoring, defense never quits. So the Leafs are going to have to figure out how to keep the puck out of their net. And as we discussed, it's not necessarily goaltending; it's more so team defense. It's back checking. It's clearing, making smart, quick plays out of your own zone, and not giving the puck away.
Yeah, and I think the kind of retool you guys are talking about, for me, if they were to do it right, they need to do it like the Washington Capitals, where all of a sudden the team that wasn't even going to make playoffs, all of a sudden comes in and wins the President's Trophy. They need to have that kind of retool and bring in a bunch of players like that, hockey players, not assets, not picks, not prospects, players, hockey players. You need to make a hockey trade, a couple hockey trades. That's where the retool will come into play, and they come into next year maybe looking a bit better defensively. Obviously, maybe a trade for Dougie Hamilton would be something that the Leafs should look into. I think, possibly trading one of your goalies and bringing in some players to help your bottom six. Maybe somebody to officially play with Austin Matthews on that top, maybe a first line right winger. That would be something, because it seems to me that Nylander will not be going, playing top line with Matthews. I think they're going to keep him with Tavares until Tavares retires. You got lots of options. I mean, you gotta do something. But if you're looking into a retool, I think they have to do it like Washington, because Washington came into last year with no expectation. I had them missing playoffs, and they ended up winning the President's Trophy. So they need to have that kind of retool. Yeah,
that's a good example to take for sure. Because doom and gloom over here, I was like, look at what the Canucks just got for you. No, Washington. That would be an interesting to to maybe look through what did they do, how did they get there. They hired a bunch of nerds, right? Was that it?
Might have been. It might have been, but it
Well, it was the
worked.
cap friendly guys. Yeah, they got the cap friendly guys. Then they traded for Chikrin. I think to your Dougie Hamilton point, like upgrading the blue line, I think is really a must. A must.
Especially with Tanev out. It sounds like
Yeah.
Tanev is done for the season. So
Well, it's looking like a Jake Muzzin kind of situation. I hate to say it, but he's injured more and more frequently, more and more mysteriously. It's not looking promising.
As soon as he signed that contract, I knew. I'm like, this is what's going to happen. He's going to play a couple years. He's going to get hurt.
Robida Island.
And then there you go. This is what's going to happen. Like it's
Should've-
it's not ending cycle with Hakanpää and then with Muzzin. It's just the same crap over and over again. And
Yeah.
as unfortunate as it is, this season could be like the end of like this reign of the Toronto Maple Leafs being one of the most dominant teams in the Eastern Conference. As sad as it is to say.
And I think like missing the playoffs might cost coach and GM their job.
I think GM is worth looking into firing. I don't think Berube's the wrong guy to fire. I don't think he should be going. If you ask me, put him on any other team, he does better. It's the players. It's got to be a players issue for me, and maybe a GM not doing enough. But I think that's gonna wrap up episode 3 of the 6 on Ice podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, tell all your friends. And is there anything you guys want to say before we sign off, before the Leafs go on this crazy road trip in Western Canada / Seattle?
give us something to cheer for.
Yeah, I'll say thank you to you guys. It was a pleasure to be between two Anthonys here.
Pleasure to have you on, Greg.
Yeah, man. Hopefully I can get some more in the future, and yeah, and we'll see where it goes. You know, it could go anywhere.
We'll see what happens with the Maple Leafs in this next week, as their season could be back on, or all the questions that we've had will be answered, and if this team is good enough and will be good enough to make playoffs. That's it for this one. We will see you guys on the next one.